I have a question. If you're hungry, what do you do? If you're cold, what do you do? If you're scared to start your business, what do you do? Right? Hi, my name's Debbie Pearson, and I'm the creator of Women's Self-Mastery and the free Master Your Emotions in Yourself guidebook. Sorry, I'm trying to get my page right. So this is your progression video, and today I'm going to teach you about your two brains and how they do and often don't communicate with each other. Unresolved fears of fear of success, fear of failure, fear of imposter syndrome, and musings about why you may never feel good enough no matter how much you accomplish has everything to do with brain 2 understanding the language of brain 1. Now, I'm going to give you a very oversimplification of brain 1 and brain 2, just so you understand. Brain 1, right, the reactive brain, been there since humans. And then over time, this other brain with the cortex and neocortex was formed, and it's our thinking brain, how we rationalize things. So the brain 1, the reactive brain, of course, is, like danger is occurring. It just reacts to things. Oh, that's hot, or whatever, right? So we don't really have to go, oh, let me think about this. Is it hot? It's more like we just react. Our bodies react. The thinking brain, which is brain 2, is the brain that we need to use to translate what brain 1 is trying to tell us. So when you, as brain 2, can understand what brain 1 is trying to tell you, what happens is you stop feeling separate, conflicted, in confusion, and you start feeling more clear and confident and ready to do your purpose, the dream, the reason you came on earth. At least that's how I think about it. Okay. Some of us have some very strong sensations and feelings that we came here for a reason, right? Speaking to you guys. All right. So if you want to learn how to communicate with those parts of your brain that help you make a difference so that you can more easily make the money you desire and deserve, stick around, because I'm going to be talking about 3 things that are going to bring greater awareness to what is going on. First thing is going to be, oh, I forgot to say, if you're here live, please put #live. Tell me where you're from. I love finding out where people are from because I have people from all over the world that will listen to the videos. If it's you're watching the replay, of course, #replay, but please still let me know where you're looking from. Hi, I see Kathy in New Jersey. How are you? I just responded to you on, I don't know which one it was, the community or something. I don't know. Anyway. But the 3 things that I'm going to talk about today is going to be, you can't change something you can't articulate, right? If you can't explain what it is that's wrong or what you're looking for, how are you going to change this thing? Number 2 is why it's important to observe yourself. Now, we're pretty good at observing everybody else, but how well do we observe ourselves? And the third thing is, what do you do once you start seeing things differently? Okay, so when you learn how to translate this language of brain 1 into something that makes sense in brain 2, this is when you're going to finally make the changes you've been wanting to make your whole life, but especially now that you're on a mission, right? So once you can do this, and it takes a minute because, let's face it, for decades, we've been going down a path that's not working really well. And pretty soon, though, that path will begin to shift and change over, and you'll find yourself with greater self-awareness, greater self-worth, and greater self-acceptance. Who doesn't want that, right? That's what I would think. So you'll start to have that courage to move beyond the fears that have been keeping you from doing the things you know you want to do. Whether it's make a difference, get your message out, have better relationships with friends or families or whoever. Maybe it's starting a business or leaving corporate America, right? Or how am I going to make that money? What do I need to do? What's stopping me? So today I'm going to go over some of these mysteries, some of these unknowns of why we can't understand ourselves, or what's this other language that I never got taught how to translate. All right, so let's see. Thing number 1, I talked about you can't change something if you can't articulate it. Well, that was me. I made it to the top of my career. I was working as a civilian at the United States Air Force, and I worked as direct support to a 4-star general at Air Mobility Command in Scott Air Force Base. And you would think that I would be really happy. I did everything I did everything I was supposed to do, and I had reached the top of my career. And things were good financially. The house, the car, the bank account, the perks, the holidays, all that stuff was pretty awesome. But I wasn't happy on the inside, right? Something was missing. But what? And I didn't know how to say what it was. I couldn't articulate it. So I was searching for something. I was seeking it out, and I was yearning for it. I didn't know what it was, right? So I knew that it was there, but I had no words. So how do you look for to find something when you don't know what it is that you're looking for, right? Can't change it if you can't articulate it. But I could feel it. I could feel it inside, and there was something urging me on, something pushing me forward, something that was like urging me to find it, locate it, don't stop. And I'll admit I was a little driven. I really, really wanted to find what this was. So I did a lot of things to help me try and figure out, how do I satisfy this yearning? So I'd read books, self-help books. I'd go to women's circles. I thought maybe I should jump out of an airplane. That'll wake you up, right? I got certifications. Like I said, reached the top of my career ladder. I learned a variety of modalities and techniques, and I even went on a very, very long 500-mile walk. And they were all awesome. Every single one of them was awesome. I loved learning all these things. Each one of them was also a bit freeing in a variety of different ways. They all mattered, but when I got finished with them, there was still something that was missing. I didn't know what it was, and I couldn't articulate it. So the searching continued. I did a lot more things that I thought might help me feel better about myself or something, because, I'd accomplished a lot, but no matter how much I would accomplish, I would still feel like not quite good enough, right? And now that I think about it, maybe that's what I was looking for. Maybe the self-worth thing. Maybe that's the thing, that it was, that all these things were great, but it didn't build up my self-worth. Okay. So I kept pursuing and pursuing and pursuing. And then one day I was at a live event, and I met someone who had a program, a process, and an understanding of this thing that I was looking for. And as she spoke, I kept finding myself leaning in, wanting to get closer to her, to find out more of what it is that she had. And I took her course, and something magical was happening for me. I felt my insides shift, and I felt a change for the better. And I started to study this material and really start absorbing it, right? And applying it to my life. And then I got certified to coach it. And then I got certified to teach it. And I have to say, over the last so many years, it has absolutely changed my life. And I know it will change yours too. If you're like me, what would happen is, where I used to feel unworthy, unlovable, undeserving, I could say with complete certainty that I absolutely feel deserving. I feel lovable and quite worthy. Where I used to not know how to love myself. I don't know when it happened, but I started falling in love with myself. And it was like, oh, that's interesting, because I had never experienced anything like that before. Where I used to feel that I wasn't good enough, like I had said, no matter what I did, I now know that I'm more than good enough. And there's this self-acceptance that comes along with what I can do, what I can't do, and being okay with it. And no challenge with myself on that at all. Where I looked for validation from other people, I no longer have that need. I understand that validation comes from within, but it comes from within once you've learned certain things and you've practiced certain things, and you're like, oh, I can validate myself now. Like, I really don't need other people to do that for me. And don't get that wrong. If someone does validate me, it's just extra wonderful, but I don't need it, where before it would be almost like, could you please validate me? I was just desperate. Please, somebody validate me. But I don't need that anymore. Why? Because I have learned what this work is about and I've applied it to my life. So I'm teaching you a little piece of it today. Okay. Probably the biggest one that's been the biggest change or the most noticeable for me was that I used to have just so much negative self-talk. Anything that went bad or wrong, I was stupid, wrong, and bad. That's just all there was to it. Nobody could tell me any different. And if they tried to convince me of that, they were stupid, wrong, and bad as well. So there's a certain process we go through, and then you practice it. And for about, 3 to 6 months, and the negative self-talk is gone. And it goes from this big giant monster that raises its nasty head down to this little pea-sized nothingness that every now and again goes, boop, I'm still here. And it's like, I don't want to talk to myself like that anymore. And I can just push it away. No problem at all. Okay, so I'm telling you all these things because what happened is I learned to translate what brain one is trying to tell me. And once I did, my life changed for the better, and it continues to do so every single day. So thing number 2, I told you that we would talk about is why take the time to observe yourself, right? Observing ourselves reveals massive amounts of information, and it's information that we don't typically know about, okay? So most people go through life doing what we were taught. Observe other people, right? But we don't really observe ourselves. So much of what's going on inside of us, in the inside of us, comes from brain one, this reactive brain. And brain one is designed to keep you safe. There's an awful lot in our world that's not a true danger. I'm not saying you don't feel scared. I'm not dismissing anybody's feelings. But is it an actual true danger? Will you experience physical or emotional harm? And typically, a lot of times the answer is no, but our body will react. Brain one is the reactive brain. Our body will react as if it is true. So like I said, brain one is to keep us safe. And usually the feelings that come up usually fall into one of 4 categories, right? For almost anything that might seem like a danger, right? So there's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And I'll go over the fight, flight, and freeze in a little bit. The word fawn, F-A-W-N, usually comes, people understand it as people pleasing. And sometimes we people please when we sense a danger. Because if I people please, if I make the other person happy, they may not hurt me verbally, emotionally, mentally, physically, whatever, right? We're going to talk about the main 3, fight, flight, and freeze, here in just a moment. So even though there's a lot that isn't actually dangerous to us, it can be perceived that way. And here's some examples that I get a lot from clients. Super anxious to give a presentation in front of a group of people. Now, they say that speaking in front of people is like the most terrifying thing next to death. And some people would rather die than go speak on a stage, right? But what's going on? Why is somebody so terrified to speak in front of a crowd of people? What's happening? What is her body doing? What is her brain thinking? What's brain one shoving into, like the negative self-talk, right? I hear it from others. I'm scared to quit my corporate job because I'm scared when I get out there and I'm doing my own thing. Like, even though I have people that get in front of big corporate executives and they will tell them what to do, but they have been given a process, right? The company says, I want you to help these big corporate executives to understand this information. So you go out there and you help them understand the information. But when you get out there to do your thing, are you having that extreme discomfort? Because are people going to find you out? Do maybe you not know as much as you think you know? Is there going to be someone who knows more than you and they're going to like tell everybody about you, right? So what's going on in that situation? And what's the body doing? Are we shirking? Oh God, you're not shirking, but shrinking, Is there this, just this terror that like sweating profusely, like what happens in the body These are lots of clues. It's a language, the body language, right? You've heard of body language. There's a reason why it's called that, right? And then what is our mind thinking, right? Another very common one is that I need to be perfect, and I need everything to be perfect before I can go live or before I can present something to a group of people. I got to have everything just lined up before I can get out there and start, spreading my message. And, like what is happening with that person? What's going on there? What's the body language and the self-talk? And every time I'm asking to notice, pay attention, and observe yourself, basically it's what's your body doing and what's your negative self-talk. Because I don't know about you, but negative self-talk usually shows up like you're stupid, you're wrong, you're bad, you don't matter, you're not important enough. Who are you to go out there and do that thing, right? So it's all these messages that we've heard from eons over the time, or however old we are, that we weren't as good as we thought we were, and we still fear that today. Okay, so here's where taking the time to observe yourself can make a huge difference in moving yourself forward so that you can get your message out. You can start making that difference you came here to make. And you can do so with courage and self-worth and confidence, right? Well, when we have perceived fear as opposed to actual, real, genuine fear, and just to be clear, genuine fear you're supposed to have. That's what your fight, flight, and freeze is there for. Do you need to fight against something? Do you need to run away from something? Do you need to shut down because of something? Fight, flight, freeze. That's there for when it's real and absolute. But again, we have these perceived fears that we also do fight, flight, and freeze, where it's not to our benefit. It's not serving us, right? So a lot of times what happens is we can't articulate what's happening with us. And so if we can't articulate it, we're not going to be able to fix it. So it's times like these that our bodies consider these other things, these perceived fears, to be real dangers. And we act and behave that way because we don't know that they're actually not real. They just absolutely feel real. But here's the thing. Nobody gets mauled on a stage by a bear because they forgot the content, right? But it absolutely feels that way. It's very, very scary. And so honor those feelings, but learn why they're there and what they're trying to share with you. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help you figure out what your body language and what your self-talk is trying to tell you. And I'm trying to help you become a translator of yourself, to yourself, for yourself, and eventually by yourself. Because if you do it enough, you'll be able to go, oh, I know what that is. Oh, golly, I can't believe I'm doing that again. And your world just calms down so much. The anxiety, which is way up here because you don't know how to say it, will come way down because you're like, oh, I know what that is, right? So something happens to your body that's uncomfortable emotionally. Like, again, what does your body do? So I've talked about body language, but I'm just going to give you some examples of what we might do when our body does do these things, and that's what I want you to observe. Something happens. Did you go, right? What happened? That's a lot of things that just happened, right? I took a deep breath in. My eyes got bigger. I can feel my neck muscles tighten. I raised my hand up, right? Sometimes we explode. Like we're like, oh, we grit our teeth and furrow our brow and bow up and right, we're exploding towards this person. Sometimes we implode where we like, oh, I can't believe this. We shut down or we feel depressed or victimized. What's your body doing? And I know I've said that like a million times during this video, but it's a language, body language. We can look out there and watch everybody else's body language, not a problem. What's your body language doing, right? So it's like, you may not be able to do it in the moment, like you're upset, you're mad, right? That's me. I've always been the fight person, right? Very rarely do I flee, freeze, or fawn. I do fawn though. I notice that. But I was always a fighter. And so, that's why I talk about it a lot. You're like, oh, I'm going to bow up, or I like yell at somebody. Who do you think you are? Whatever. It's crazy making is what it is. Okay. So what do you do? What does your body do? Do you shut down? What does that look like? Do you feel weak? Do you feel like you've gone into a victim state? Do you fight? Are you imploding? Are you exploding? What is happening? Because again, it's a language and it's trying to tell you something. All right. Brain 1 speaks in body language and self-talk. And once you observe what your body's doing and those thoughts that are flying through your mind, you're bad, you're wrong, all that stuff, you can begin to translate what's going on. And that brings us to number 3. What do you do about it? Because when we start learning about brain number 1, we will learn about emotions that we're feeling, needs that have not been met, violations to our values, disempowering beliefs. Or challenges or violations to that. And all these things start telling a story, right? We don't have time for that. We're already 20 minutes in. I'm trying to keep it short. Never can. I don't know why. Too many things to say. But here's number 3. So before I tell you what you can do about it, let me tell you what not to do about it. So if this is going on for you and you are the person, the women business owner, you're a coach, you're an entrepreneur, you a care professional, therapist, you've got clients, it's like, or you want to have clients, what you don't need to do is go get another certificate. You know your stuff. You know your stuff. You're just maybe not trusting that feeling that says, oh, something's missing. You may be looking to think that something is another certification. I'm going to invite you to say that something is on the inside of you and you can't get it anywhere out there. Okay. Another thing you don't want to do is force yourself. Say you work for corporate America and you're like, I'm just going to grit my teeth and get out there and do it. I don't personally think that's a good idea. It sounds like abuse to myself. If that was me, it feels like self-abuse. Now, if you're ready to leave your job, leave your job. Nobody's telling you to stay. But if it's like, I don't know what to do, and I'm just at the end of my rope, and I just got to jump. You can jump if you want to, but there is a kinder, gentler way, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. Some people might like I'm saying, something you may not want to do is run from the discomfort, right? Because there's a reason it's there. Don't ignore it. What's it trying to tell you? There's a message in there for you. And the 4th one is pretend everything's fine. Oh, everything's just fine. Everything's just fine, because it's not fine. Because if it was fine, you wouldn't have to pretend. Okay. Right. People say all the time, I'm going to fake it till I make it. If you want to do that, you're more than welcome to do that. You have a choice and you are more than welcome to do that. However, I think that's kind of a horrible thing to do to yourself. I feel like it's more, now, I'm not trying to tell you that this is what it is for you, but sometimes I feel like when we go, I'm going to fake it till I make it, right? Maybe we're trying to build up our confidence, but sometimes it's a little bit dismissing and demeaning to what's actually going on with us. It's like rejecting what's true, what's really happening. And it feels like it's asking you to abandon what your body is trying to tell you, just disregard it. We've done so much for many, many decades. Personally, I don't want to fake it anymore. I sometimes would have said that. I'm just going to fake it till I make it. I hear lots of people, lots of friends say that. But I don't want to fake it anymore. I want to be authentic. I want to be authentic, even if it means that I have to admit I'm not that good, even though I'm an adult. Because here's the thing. As adults, we have this false sense that we should just be really, really good at things because we're adults, because we've already learned so many things. But we forget to go back and look at what did it take for us to get here. So something very simplistic would be reading, right? Automatic behavior for you. But you had to learn letters and put letters together, and they became words, and words became sentences, and then long sentences, paragraphs, books. And you begin to comprehend it. But this didn't happen just because. I mean, literally, you had to work on that, and you did it for years in school, right? But the thing is, You learned English, right? Maybe somebody knows 2 or 3 languages. Maybe they can do this in 2 or 3 languages. But for many Americans, it's just the one. And if we went to a foreign country, we're like starting over, right? So it's a challenge. It's just because you're an adult doesn't mean you didn't have to learn along the way. And just because you're an adult doesn't mean you can't learn more. You can. And what I want to teach you, and what I'm going to explain in just a moment, is the things you didn't learn when you were growing up. And they're just so incredibly important that I can't believe that they're not taught in school as opposed to other things, right? So I told you all the things that I think you should not do, or that I don't think would be a great idea. Here's what I believe might be a good thing to do. Learn to stop this negative self-talk. And if you want to know how to do that, I'll tell you about what's happening in August in just a minute. And it's free, okay? Learn to translate what Brain 1 is trying to reveal to you and has been trying to reveal to you for decades, right? I'm going to include some of that in August. Learn more about who you genuinely are. Like oh my gosh, I have like 8 months planned, and you come and go as you please, but there's activities and there's information. So I was saying, what's happening in August, right? I'm going to be teaching complementary, because I want to do this for my community. In the Women's Self-Mastery community, I am going to be offering complementary. Every week we're going to be participating in something, and monthly we're going to have this topic, and we're going to learn to read our body language and our feelings language, and we're going to learn about the physical world language and the emotional world language and love languages and a host of other concepts and information. And I'm going to be teaching some life skills. So the work that we'll be doing in there is going to be beneficial in the sense of, I'm going to try to help you understand, make the unconscious more conscious, make the unknowable. There's these parts of your brain. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's like if I stretch my arm out and I look back this way and I turn my head and I look back this way, we know all the stuff in between. We know all this stuff here, but what's between my arms in the back? That's the stuff we need to learn. And I want to help pull that and bring that up in front, and we're gonna like look at it, because like that's the critical stuff. It's the juicy goodness, the cherry Garcia, if you will, the icing on top of the cake, right? Oh my God, it's such good stuff, right? And it will help make the unknowable more knowable, the unseen more seen, and some of the uncomfortable more comfortable. So how does that sound? If you're ready to learn and change and grow, maybe you'll want to join me in the Women's Self-Mastery community. It is for women only. So if you are someone who's been stuck and want to move forward in a way that satisfies those parts of your body that are going to help you make a difference, make you get your message out, have better connection and communication with family and friends, and so you have more confidence and clarity in everything you're doing, personally, professionally, like join me in the Women's Self-Mastery community. I will put links so that we can just click and get there. All right, so I invite you to join me there in the community, where we're going to learn so much about who we are, why we do what we do, why we feel what we feel, what our values are, our belief systems, our needs, empowering and disempowering beliefs. So I said belief systems and values and just so much more, right? So any woman can join this. She doesn't have to be a woman owner. She has to be someone that just wants to know more about herself and move herself forward in her life. It may be a little more catered toward the woman business owner, coaches, entrepreneurs, therapists, people that find themselves holding back even just a little bit, and they don't know why, and they want to keep moving forward. So even if you don't own a business, don't let that stop you from joining us, because who knows who you're going to impact, right? So you are important too, even if you don't have a business, right? So if you're ready to learn, change, and grow, join me in the Women's Self-Mastery community. And for free, I'm going to be teaching you all these things about yourself, and they're so amazing. Show you how to articulate what it is that you've not been able to articulate, and teaching you how to care and love for yourself more than you've ever done before. All right, that's it for today, guys. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and feel free to share this with your friends. If you know a female that's interested in this type of work, please feel free to share it with them. I'm Deb Pearson, helping you get your message out to the world with more confidence, clarity, and courage so you can make the money you desire and deserve. And remember, the world needs you. Let's do this. Bye, everybody. See you next time.